Welcome back to Me, I Am a Memoir, the meaning of Mariah Carey. We are in the middle of a dance mixer-palooza. I have thrown together a curated list of my favourite dance mixes. Some of them I don't love as much as others, but, you know, it's because Posh can't deal with songs longer than 3 minutes, and all of my favourite dance mixes are 400 minutes long. They're all like Lord of the Rings. Yeah. And if you want to be Lord of my Ring, no, sorry, that's a different podcast.
Which podcast is that? That's on the Patreon, is it?
Yeah, maybe.
Only Fabs.
That's it. It's on my Only Fabs.
Yeah. That's where you play the dirty remix of Always Be My Baby.
Yeah, I just Anyway, we are going to continue on with the dance mix. If you want to have a listen to them, they are on a Spotify playlist, which you will find in the show notes. Just click on it and it'll play. I mean, you might have to listen to some ads for sandwiches or something in the middle. I'm not sure how Spotify works at your house. But no Mimi moments this week because we've got so many songs to get through. So let's break it on down. Break me on down. We're going to continue breaking it on down now with a remix that surprised me the first time I heard it. Because I heard the original song and I was like, yeah, that's not much chop. I don't really like it. And then I heard the remix and I'm like, why is this not on an album? I love this. It's the vintage throwback mix of Triumphant. Which is an orphan, much like Almost Home.
Nothing's like Almost Home. Yeah.
I don't have much to say about this except you can finally hear all the verses of Triumphant, which you don't hear because there's too many people yelling over her, mansplaining Triumphant. Get him, hit him, go, squeal the whole last verse, sing the shit out of it, Mariah. I love this.
Oh my God, Kinder Candy Tour right now. In the vintage store.
How did you feel about this version of Triumphant? Wow. Given that you were not a huge fan of the OG, the single.
Yes. This is interesting because I actually went and did some extra credit homework for this one.
Oh, I love when you do extra credit homework.
Because I remember when this song came out and then the remixes dropped. So I actually listened to 2 remixes of this song with the vintage throwback and the Pulse remix.
Yes, the Pulse.
So the first thing I said is Mariah is so much more present here.
Yes, she's barely in the other one.
I said I like that there's light and shade and some squeals.
There's a lot of squealing. Like the whole last verse is just a squeal.
Yes. The thing that I found interesting though, because someone's brought up before that timing and age and everything can make a difference to how you respond to something. So the throwback mix probably made more sense for you being in line with some of the earlier remixes.
Yes, because it had a Morales feel.
It did. Whereas for me, the Pulse remix was probably more what I was listening to at the time. That was like the right now sort of sound. So I like that one that little bit more. It felt a little more, I don't know, it just connected with me more. I probably heard it at the club at the time.
Probably.
But both versions I quite liked. I think.
You get the verses.
And you get the verses. I think the vintage throwback is probably a little bit more melodic and has a sort of heaviness to it, whereas I think the vocal fly is a little freer in the Pulse remix. Both good. Can't complain.
Yeah. And it just makes you go, oh, I think the features on that song actually hurt it. Like,
too many cooks.
Was it Meek and
boxing ring.
Rick Ross? Yeah, like it was too much. And I was like, oh, and I feel like it was not a Mariah song. Like we didn't get enough Mariah.
No, I agree.
And when you finally hear that there's a verse, a whole first verse, I'm like,
song.
This song had a verse?
Yeah.
Like, where was it? I've never heard it before.
It's the anti-regular verse. In the regular verse, we love people jumping on the remixes.
Yes. Please stop her singing.
But also, she just seems to sing. She sounds better with other people as well. It's something, I don't know if it's a comfort thing. I don't know.
And maybe that was a thing, like that. She was a big deal around this time that the song came out, and maybe it was like, oh, just more features is bigger bucks.
Yeah, where's Bull Pit? We'll get him in.
Yeah,
the opposite of Pitbull. I need that Bull Pit. Come on,
we need the Bull Pit. But yeah, whereas just this, like hearing the full song, I'm just like, this should have been a great song. It's got
I would
a great
replace
hook.
That song with either of these.
Yeah, get him, hit him, go.
Yeah.
Like just the repeating of that is amazing. Like I love it. Get it.
And into the verse, which just stands out so much more. Yeah. It's definitely better.
Yeah. But so I'm glad you finally got to hear the
song.
The unexpurgated Triumphant as it was probably meant to be heard before it was monstered out of oblivion. But yeah, how do you feel score-wise about Triumphant?
Okay. I've given 2 scores. So the Vintage Throwback gets a 4.25. So not all the way there, but very much enjoyed. The Pulse remix gets a 4.75.
Wow.
Yeah.
This is an infinity for me in a way that the single was not.
No, was not. Totally on board.
I had this like the whole remix album in the car and just would play the whole thing for like when I was driving somewhere. Like, yep. It's a good half an hour of me listening to the one song over and over in different forms.
Why not? Why wouldn't you?
Why wouldn't you? All right, it's on to Don't Forget About Us, the Tony Moran and Warren Rigg dance floor anthem.
It's a mouthful.
It's a mouthful. How do you feel about the dance version of Don't Forget About Us?
So this was a toughie because I never particularly loved the original.
I know. Because you found it was too derivative of We Belong Together.
Yeah. So what I've written is I would pop along to it on the dance floor, but I'd probably be wishing it's Like That or Shake It Off.
Yes.
From that era. But I said, at least this does have the familiar melody, so I can grab onto it. I would know the song. So I said, maybe if I was pashing someone, I'd be having fun.
Yeah.
And I said, this is like just a side note with a side eye, obviously.
Yeah.
I said, I think some of my dislike of the 10-minute club songs is that I don't go out that often. So when I go out, I want to get as many songs in there as possible. Don't cut them short either. Like, I don't like it when they, cut the bridge. It's like, no, I want the song. Yeah. But when I know they're sort of 4 to 5 minutes, if there's one I don't like, I can duck off to the toilet, go grab a drink, and be back and ready for the next song.
Well, the whole thing with the 10-minute song is that you can mix into it at any point and then mix out of it into another song.
If it's a good DJ.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If the DJ knows what they're doing. But like they basically give you a lot of room to maneuver, which is the whole point of a club mix. Is like,
and I mean, I think
here's some room for you to
when it's a great
around.
One, you're like, oh, I'm so glad this is going forever. But sometimes if you get a bad, not that these, I'm not talking about these ones, but just in general, a song that you don't like, you're like, oh, I don't need.
Why is this on again?
I don't need Paradise for 18 minutes.
And Lee's 2 times only needs to be played half a time.
It needs to be played never. It needs to be played minus times. It's awful.
When I worked in, that's when I was working in gay bars. I was like, oh, this again.
Yeah, it's not okay. It was never okay. But I did say that this one at least didn't feel crazy long. I was probably done around the 8 minutes though.
Yeah, I did give you the long one because I love it.
I know you like this one.
You
like this more, don't you? Do you like this more than the original? I feel like that's true.
No, I love the original. So when I first heard this with, the brief panting and the muted vocals, which are used as a motif, you can kind of hear in the background, it's like, I can see it in your eyes. You still want it, but it's just like you can't really understand what she's saying, but you hear the melody. Like I fell in love with that, because I'd known the song and then hearing the remix, I'm like, oh, so I do love this version of the song the most because I love the build, like with, Mariah layered over Mariah. Like it's just like, oh, here's Mariah singing over a bit more of Mariah with a bit more of Mariah. And I know it takes 2.5 minutes to start.
Yeah.
But I love it all. It's great. And also it's an interesting use of the original vocal. Like, because so many of my favorite Mariah dance mixes are re-singing. Like, it's like the keys changed, so she's come in and re-sung it and changed it. But these guys have gone, no, we can use this vocal. We can do something innovative.
I mean, Mariah would have been busy at this point.
She would have been very busy at this point. I know. Well, she was in the middle of, like, this was like an extra chunk on the end of an album that she'd been singing for an entire 2 years. Yeah. But, I feel like the way they've relayered her vocals and built around it is has kind of elevated the song more than the original. And, like, I do agree that the original is probably a bit derivative of
what I will say
We Belong
about
Together.
It is I at least appreciate it, but it's also a sore spot that Shake It Off never got to number one because We Belong Together was number one. And, it deserved it.
It did deserve it.
I'm grateful that this came in and gave her the extra one. It's almost like this one was like, we're sorry, Shake It Off. We'll give you this one.
Yeah, this could be your other number one.
But it does make me go, every time I see it on a, number one to infinity, I'm like, but that should be Shake It Off.
No, but it's still really good.
I mean, don't get me wrong. If she had both, great. But it's almost like, oh my God, We Belong Together was so iconic that it held Mariah Carey off of number one.
Yeah. I know it's 9.5 minutes, but it's all good. Almost home good, I'm telling you.
Nothing is almost home. I don't know what you're talking about.
She'll never be MC. And also a solo squeal that fades in and out. Like there's just some gorgeous stuff. They're like, her voice is amazing. Let's make that the feature of the song. Because so often dance mixes are like, let's bury J-Lo in the mix.
Let's bury Ashanti or Christina Milian.
let's bury them in the mix, and like occasionally we'll just let the melody pop up to the top, and it's going to be all about how amazing we are as sound engineers and making our dance mixes. Whereas this one is like, let's use Mariah as the noise. Like let's use her as the samples. Like that sample of her voice is an instrument, and it's just, I love the way they do that. Like So I can see it in your eyes. You still want it. Don't forget about us. I think it's just a really clever use of existing vocals, and it still is the song. Like you hear the song, but it's also using the song as like, oh, we know you know the song because you've listened to it 34 times. It's a number one hit. So we're going to use that as kind of like, I can hear it. Can I hear the song? It is. It's coming in. She's singing. It's Mariah. She's arrived. Like I just love it. It's like it's a little journey. It's a 9.5 minute journey for me, and I love it. Infinity. Okay.
Oh my God. Look, I haven't scored it as badly as you probably think I have. No. I've gone for a 4.25.
Oh, that's huge.
So,
it's enormous for you. Yeah. But it's I just love that they've used her voice as an instrument in a way that, it's just, I love how innovative it is for a dance mix. Also because it feels like it's harking back to an older style of remix as well in, Mariah 2.0 essentially.
Yes.
Emancipation of Mimi is the new Mariah. But she's still, she can still have an amazing remix done.
Obviously.
All right, we're on to I Still Believe. The Brenda K. Star song, the Morales classic club mix edit, which is just a straightforward dance mix. Yes. Tempo's pushed up a bit, but I love that it exposes the rawness of her vocals. Some nice layering, backing vocals great, nice steady beat, fun whistles down the end. And when we do the other remix episode, we can do the Willy Wonka version.
Okay, great.
Have you heard the Willy Wonka version?
I think that had a video.
Oh, I did. We did. We did talk about that.
When we get to that, we'll figure out which ones we actually have touched on at all, but then we'll find ones that we haven't.
Yes. How did you feel about I Still Believe, the Morales Classic Club Mix?
Wow.
Edit.
I do like this more than the original.
Yeah, I know, because you didn't like the album version.
Didn't love it. It wasn't awful, but I didn't love it. There was something about that time, though. We've talked about it with some of those songs just didn't come together.
Also, trying to say, I kind of get why it was there on the album, because it was like, oh, this is from before my first number one.
Yeah. Brendan needs the cash.
And Brendan needs the cash. But yeah, it just felt like whenever someone does a best of and then puts new songs on it, you're like, are they going to be as good as all of your best songs?
Yeah.
Because sometimes
a cover can be a good idea. Like when No Doubt did It's My Life, that's almost bigger than the original.
Yeah.
And that was the one addition to the Greatest Hits. I think the one thing with this one, I would definitely listen to this over the OG. I think I just wanted one extra layer of swell to really sell that Euphoria. I was like, I wanted to get totally swept away, and I didn't quite. I wrote that it's like you came, but it dribbled rather than shot, Like you got there, but it just wasn't fully.
Your euphemisms are revolting.
But you know what? It's just that little bit disappointing. It's like,
I will say, I chose the edit for this one because the longer one is there's just more of this.
Yeah, sure.
Like there's not that much more to it. Yeah, it just dribbles for a longer period of time. Yeah. But yeah, I totally agree. Like it is. But I think that's because there's problems with the source material.
Yeah.
Doesn't quite soar either.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's fun. What did you give this for a scorage?
This is a 4.25 as well.
Yeah, for me it's a 4.
Wow. What do you think? Do you think this is better than the original?
I'd kind of like them both around the same.
About the same, yeah, sure.
But yeah, I think her voice sounds better on this one.
I remember more of the melody on this one.
Yeah. And yeah, I just feel like it exposes more of her vocals, whereas the other one is a bit,
I think of these songs that we've listened to the remixes we've listened to so far, like this one and Triumphant are the ones that would actually replace on a playlist the originals.
Yeah, totally. Yeah. Now, speaking of replacing things, for a long time, this next song replaced the original single in my heart for the one that I would listen to. It is the special motion edit of Emotions. So this is the CNC Music Factory and Mariah. This is what I thought their collaboration would sound like when I first heard they were working together.
Sure.
I was like, oh, this is what it'll be like. It'll be dancey and Mariah. And then they did Emotions, which, the original single, which was like, oh, this is a harder edge than I expected. Sure. Like it's a bit more 70s. And there were a couple of remixes in that first album, but they didn't sound that different to the original tracks.
Yeah.
Like they're just longer.
Yeah.
Like a couple of extra bits shoved in the middle. Like, oh, she's still singing Someday. Like it's the same. But this is the first time I got excited about the idea of Dance Mariah.
Sure. That's
like, like she's a Marvel superhero, we've got the Marvel. There's the Mariah Avengers. You've got Dance Mariah, Belt Mariah, Whisper Mariah, Eternally 12
Curly
Mariah, Curly Mariah. But yeah, like this was the first kind of like, oh, there could be a Dance Mariah. I like. So yeah, for a long time, this was my preferred version of Emotions. But now I'm back on the original.
You've reverted? Okay.
Yeah.
It's The Crown.
But I still enjoy
it. Was
this.
The Crown season 5, episode 1. It just brought you back in. I think for me, like the dramatic church intro is heaven.
Yeah, it's amazing.
Love that. All right, the rest of the remix is a little hit and miss. I think there's just a couple too many things happening, which is ironic. Some of the others, I'm like, more.
Oh, yeah.
I think there are parts of it that really stand out and still sound modern, but there's a couple that sound really dated in contrast because they're both in the same song. I think if they were different remixes, you would notice it, but because they're next to each other. I said, if I could get my hands on the stems, I'd make some tweaks and we'd be amazing.
Yeah.
So I just want to get in there and be like, no, get rid of that bit.
I think, there's something about the sound that they also used a bit on the Music Box album on the couple of songs that they produced on there. That's that same sound that sounds really dated. Like,
which I feel like Mariah has mostly sidestepped.
Yeah.
In her career, but it's going to happen to the best of us.
Yeah. But that's one of the things I love about the actual single about Emotions, that this version, I'm like, oh, yeah, that sounds of the time. Whereas Emotions, the single is like, oh, no, this is eternal.
And I think it's because it was already thrown back.
Yeah.
There's something clever about that kind of thing where it's like, I'm not in any time. What is time? I don't know.
Yeah. I don't understand time. I have no time. So Emotion Special Motion Edit is if you had have asked me in the 90s, it would have been full infinity. Mm-hmm. Now it's a 5.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's getting its passport together. It expired. That's what happened.
Yeah.
It needs to get a new one. Makes sense.
Yeah.
For me, 4.25. We're pretty consistent at this point. Like, I'm enjoying them all. There's just little things that I'd like, listening to them for the first time, I'd be like, oh, bugger, just tweak that.
Could have just been a little bit more. Yeah. Come on. Yeah.
Because Mariah has had a few remixes updated. So I'm like, this is one. This is ripe for an update.
This is, someone needs to re-infinitize it for us all. All right, now we are on to one that you will either love or loathe for very interesting reasons. It is the classic mix of Honey. How do you feel about the classic mix of Honey?
You ready?
Mm-hmm.
You're not ready. I said, this feels like it breaks Honey out of its shackles. I said it feels improvised in the best way. She is throwing it out there and it is all landing. Woo! I said, I think this is more successful than the Heartbreaker remix because this was the little bit, it's sort of, they're not the same, but it's like a twin in terms of they're going for something else. Yep. I said, look, I probably could have done it with a 6-minute edit, but I like that Mariah was around for the whole thing, and they didn't just repeat things.
No.
Like, what I love about this, like we talked about before, it's in Mariah's bones. She's improving and it all lands. It all works. It doesn't feel like, oh, I'm making it up. It feels like I'm making it up.
Making this happen.
I can make this up, and it happened and it worked.
Yeah.
So there you go. I love to surprise you.
It's like Honey. Yes, Mariah can sing the one line 100 different ways.
Yes.
And they're all great. Same with I Need It, I Need It, I Need It. It's like, how can you sing the same lyrics over and over again and have them all sound unique?
My favorite other thing about this is the part where Mariah starts riffing in the original, during the high bits. I never knew what she said. Now I know what she said, which is the I can't hardly wait. Got to have another taste. Could not. I'd just be like, I don't know what she was saying. Now I do.
Yeah, I love this. It's 8 minutes of dance, funk, fusion, glory, jazz. It's just, and the background vocals are so in sync. Like, for them not to be Mariah and to be that in sync is berserk. Like, and you, like you said, it feels like impro, and you're like, how is this impro? Like, how are they managing this? All of them together. Like, it is magical. Vocal supremacy with a dance beat. Nobody regular could sing 6 words for 8 minutes.
Well, she'd sing it for 10 seconds and then get copy pasted.
But just the fact that she can just singing the word honey with about 14 notes in it, just dragging it out, honey, and then the girls joining in behind her. Like,
I've got it on in the background.
It is so. It's sublime. I actually have this on. I think I've got a double vinyl remix.
I think I know what you're talking about, actually.
Yeah, and it's just like a plain packaging. Like, it's just brown paper and it just says Honey Mariah. Like, it's just,
Does it need to say anything else?
Doesn't need to say anything.
And I think it's good as well because it's different, but it's also recognizable. You know what song you're listening to, so you can still sing it as you're at the club, but there's other things happening.
And it's one of those things, it's like, oh, this was a good song and you've gotten it away from Puff Daddy and it's even better.
Sean P. Puff Diddy Daddy Combs.
The emancipation of Honey.
Diddy. Oh my God.
So this is Infinity Plus, if there's such a thing.
Oh, a deep infinity. I've gone to an equal high score of 4.75.
Oh, it's just, I don't know how you can not love it even more than
I don't think anything's infinitized because I haven't had long enough with it.
Yeah. But just, yeah, as you say, she lands everything and you're like, Jesus, how is this like...
I'm so glad that this is the one I really liked, you know?
Yeah, it's so much fun. So we're on to Say Something, the David Morales radio edit.
Mm-hmm. This is newer for David, like he's...
Yes, he's come back after a hiate, as you call it. Yeah. Singular hiate. So I love that when she did Emancipation, she brought back the big belty vocals because she had been doing a lot of whispering, a lot of breathy kind of stuff. Yeah. And then, you know, she's like, when Emancipation came out, and there was something that Jermaine Dupri said. He goes, you know, we're bringing back Mariah, the big vocalist. Like, you know, she's coming back into the studio and we're going to let it rip. And she'd had all that vocal rest. But as well, she went in to record dance mixes and mixed it up.
Yeah.
Which she hadn't done for a while. And this one builds to a spectacular climax. Oh. Lots of riffs and belts to go with all the hits and shirts.
Yes.
And, you know, basically, you know, Emancipation of Mimi was a return to form on more than one level.
Sure.
Like, it was also a return to form in the remix arena.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I just really enjoy this. It feels like, oh, this is new Mariah, but also classic Mariah.
Yes, yeah, I see that.
At the same time, it was a moment, and I just adore it. I love it. How do you feel about Say Something?
I do think it mostly works for me. The only thing I wish for this song is that the chorus was bigger. I think what happens is it's build, ooh, 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 and then it's just kind of the original chorus, and it's like, damn.
It's just a bit quicker.
Yeah, I think Mariah's ad-libs help a lot.
Yes.
But that's the one thing I'm like, nearly there.
Yeah.
And that's not the remix's fault. It's more just the original song. It suits the original song. It just didn't quite suit the remix. And so I'm like, does Mariah go in and do a bigger chorus? Don't know. But overall, I liked it.
Yeah. Excellent.
This was a 4.5.
Yeah, this is not quite infinity. It's on the cusp because, you know, it's not, it feels classic, but it's not a classic.
Yes. Yeah. And it's kind of the one, probably out of all of these singles, except for maybe like the Little Orphans.
Yes.
It's probably the one that wasn't like a lead or a huge hit.
Yeah.
Like, not that it wasn't a hit, but...
You know, that's from an album that's got so many hits and shirts.
So many hits. Yeah. You know, shirts.
And, you know, she's wearing a hat on the single cover, which is always fun. All right. Now we're on to another CNC Music Factory remix, the Anytime You Need a Friend 7-inch mix. Which
sometimes,
is still a stupidly long song. Like, it's like 7 minutes. Like, there is a longer version of this, believe it or not, which I love better, but I didn't want to put you through all of those.
Sometimes a 7-minute 7-inch is enough.
I can't believe there's such a thing as a 7-minute 7-inch, but there you have it.
There is.
Anytime You Need a Friend. And I will say, move over He Dogs and She Dogs and Soffa and Soray and the other Serif Sisters, because Scatrall is here, sisters.
And don't think it went unnoticed, because it did not. So for this one, personally, I mean, I like it, but nothing beats the original. Let's be real. Yeah. But I said this is like the fun extra one of the single. Like, you've got the great single. This is a fun one. I said it's relatively repetitive. I said I was finished probably around the 4-minute mark, but thankfully, Kim Scatrall, Scatrall showed up to Soffa and Soray to the end.
Oh, yeah.
I said, I do wonder what the thought process was in the studio. Like, Mariah's just like, I'm just going to scat.
Yeah.
You know? And I said,
I honestly think it was probably David Cole just banging away on the piano, improvising. Yeah. She's gone, oh, yeah, I can keep up with that, don't you?
Soffa and Soray. But if I was going to trim something from this, it would actually be from the first half, because at least the scatting is something different. Like,
yeah.
So
the scatting is amazing.
What about you?
Yeah, I love it. It's I think of all the songs she did with C&C Music Factory with Cliff Willis and Cole, this is the best distillation of what they both do. Sure. Like what they individually do, and this is the best kind of combination of their work. Like it feels like both of them kind of meeting in the middle and doing something, you know, probably not that commercial, but just joyous to listen to because it's like it's dance, it's musicality, it's jazz, it's funk. There is so much improvisation. Like it's almost ludicrous that this much improvisation has been put on at a CD at the time, and then popped in one of those hilarious little tiny bits of cardboard. Remember they used to make CD singles like a big album. They can just stick it in a little bit of cardboard. But yeah, like it's weird that this got pressed. That this, you know, that they went, oh yeah, sure, we'll put that out. Yeah. It's Mariah's having fun. Yeah. Like
didn't know she was allowed to at that point. But,
I know. It felt really risky, like letting her
There's
be
a lot
jazzy.
of risks, though, that went into her career at that time that you would not think, knowing the stories, would have happened. I mean, I will still never understand how Snuffleupagus didn't click.
I know.
Come on.
But like I think the same thing with these remixes. I think she was allowed to do things because maybe people weren't paying attention. It was just it's a remix. It's just like, you know, it's like a Twitter account. No one cares what you write on it.
I mean, the one thing that Mariah has said sort of in Tommy's favour is that he trusted her as far as the music went. Yeah. So he was like, I'm not going to mess with it.
Yeah. And why would you?
No.
So how are you scoring Anytime You Need a Friend 7-inch mix by
I've gone for a 4.25. It's on in the background now, though, and I'm having fun.
Yeah.
So this could be a grower.
It's joyous. It's kind of
the original is just. I mean, I think of all of the songs in her discography, this was the one that I'd never heard before, and it went straight to infinity. Yeah, like it's just instant.
And again, like with a lot of her remixes, the original is plaintive. It's kind of crying out. It's like, anytime you need a friend, please, you know, I will be there. Whereas this one is like, anytime you need a friend, I'm your party friend. Yeah. Like, come on.
I'm on the dance floor, come on.
Yeah. Have you got a piano? I'm going to scat the shit out of you. I'm going to come around and show you what scat's like, Lady Cattrall.
God.
You want to know what scat's like? Here it is.
Oh, my God.
But yeah, I love how playful this is. Like this is, like with a lot of these remixes, the original single or the original version has been quite playful and silly and quite, you know, nice and girly, and the remix has been kind of dirty and down. Whereas this one feels the other way around. Like the original is kind of heart wrenching and you know, desperate, and this is like woohoo.
yeah, I get it. I'm there.
It's
Oh,
and I just
started scatting in my ear.
I just love how, you know, for Mariah fans, she's just like, I love my fans, so I'm just gonna give them more versions of a song. Like I'm not just gonna have someone come in and just copy and paste my vocals on, because that's not enough. I need to really ramp it up and have some fun. So yeah, this is an infinity for me. Love it.
Heaven.
Love it. All right, we're on to the final song in my playlist. It is the epic 11 minutes and 15 seconds.
It's
the Def Club Mix.
I think it's the longest remix on here.
Yeah, it's the Def Club Mix of Fantasy. Which, just to let you know that it's happening, so I saved this to last because I know that Daydream is your favourite album.
Yes.
And there are essentially 2 songs from that album on here.
Totally.
On this dance mix. And some police sirens and some slow jam respect to the original Tom Tom Club track. Like, not just interpolating. It's like, no, I'm just going to sing some of that actual song.
Yeah, right.
In the middle of it. An epic belt over a drum machine, which is picking up speed.
Yes, yeah.
And then Impro City into the Daydream interlude. I mean, it's the 12-minute, 12-inch to beat all 12-minute, 12 inches.
It smacks you in the head.
It is long and it is girthy.
So much girth.
This is the girthiest of the 12 inches. How do you feel about all of this girth? up in your business.
This is what I wrote. I said, I think these vocals are the best balance between something new, but also something very familiar and in line with the original. I said, I was probably ready for a fade out at 5 minutes. So the change up was perfectly timed.
Yes.
I said it picked up again, and I was probably good until I got tired around 7:30. But then I tuned back in before Daydream interlude, and I said, I do appreciate the journey.
It is quite a journey, this song.
There's something about it that it's almost like, I can't say I enjoyed it as much as the Honey remix because that's so together.
Yeah.
What's fun about this, but also it depends on your mood, is that it's like we're going to staple it all in here. Yeah. So it keeps changing, which is good because you never get bored. But if you're not feeling like any one of those vibes, then you might be like, I'm just going to fast forward this bit.
But also, if you were a DJ, you'd be like, oh, we're having a slow jam moment. I'm just going to remix this bit at the end, the Daydream interlude bit. Like, I'm just going to play that for a few minutes and then mix onto a different song. Yeah, or if you've got like this hypey business going on in your dance floor, it's like, I'm going to play the Sirens and just goes crazy. Fantasy, 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 fantasy.
But yeah, no, this was a fun one. And it's kind of unlike any of the others, really.
Oh, it's just,
this is just the song that keeps on giving, let's be real.
It is.
The amount of remixes and then even the more recent...
the Lotto business. There is just a moment in this when she goes, it's just and just holds that note for so long. And you're like, what the fuck? The sirens come back in. Everything's happening. It is hectic, like she says in the song.
Hectic inside and out.
Yeah, this is hectic everywhere.
Yeah. In the club, outside of the club, at home after the club, pre-drinks.
So yes, this is one of my all-time favorites. So I Dream Lover was my favorite dance mix until Fantasy happened. Yeah. And I was like, oh, you've gone one step further. Like, I feel like this is more, as much as I loved Dream Lover, this kind of just stepped it up a notch. And also just, going for that Tom Tom Club, just paying full homage.
It's sort of like Easter eggs, isn't it? It's like the DVD with special features.
Yes. It's just like, oh, this is the song that I was interpolating with Fantasy, but I'll just sing some of it now. Yeah. Because I love it.
Like, you don't need to stream the original. You can just listen to mine.
Yeah, just it's in the middle of this one.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I just adore this. What did you give it? I guess you can smell what my score is.
Yeah, I didn't go all the way. I've gone for a 4.5.
Yep.
Yeah. So I
can't believe this. Yeah, you've done 4.75s, and this
I have.
only 4.5. I'm impressed that so many of these have tipped over 4 for you because you're
There's really only 2 that didn't.
Yeah, I know.
A whole lot, and this is a long song, and I still gave it a 4.5.
I know.
So that's a big deal.
11 and 15.
Yeah, and I didn't totally bail.
Yeah. This is an infinity for me, obviously. So overall, how do you feel about all of the dance mixes?
It was fun. It was jarring because we go on quite a journey.
It is a strange journey as well.
It is strange.
I tried to the other thing I was trying to do was like pick things from different eras.
Yes.
Like rather than, at one point I was like, oh, should it be a journey through until now? And I was like, no, because then we'll get to the ones that are now and it'll be like, try.
Yeah, sure. Really. No, I appreciate the love.
The curation.
The curation. Yeah.
Also, I was really judicious about I try not to put too many long ones back to back.
Yes.
Because that was a temptation to have all my favourite long ones just all in a row. Because I was like, no, he needs a couple of 3 minutes to wash his palette.
I think for me it's a lot of energy. So it's I think maybe once we've done the non-dance remixes, then I'll be able to curate my own little remix playlist.
But this is very much I'm going to clean the house and it needs to be really, really polished because I've got an inspection. Like this is the I've got an inspection dance mix party.
Sure.
Have you ever pop watched these on all 15 and you will have your house spotless.
Have you ever watched Party Down?
Yes.
The episode where Megan Mullally powders her nose. And she's wanting to actually powder her nose, but uses the wrong kind of powder. That's what I'm imagining going on as I'm cleaning this house.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. You've had 1 or 2 coffees to start the cleaning, and then you go on from there.
Yeah. So I didn't really write them down, but I'm just thinking now that we've talked about them, like for favourite and least favourite, I think we're going to throw out Honey as a top, and the one that wasn't actually on the list, which is the Triumphant Pulse remix. They'd be my two.
Your 2 favourites.
At the peak. And then I think the least favourite is pretty obvious with Always Be My Baby and Through the Rain.
Yeah. Look, my favourite is Fantasy.
Mm-hmm.
But
I love that my favourite's from Butterfly and your favourite's from Daydream.
I know, it's interesting, isn't it?
Opposite day.
And it would be probably an equal favourite with Dream Lover. Like,
yes, yeah.
They're both,
I always have known you like that one.
Yeah, they're both kind of right up there. My probably least favourite is probably I Still Believe of all of these.
Yeah.
Because it's just, I like it. It's just kind of really straightforward, but it's just not, and maybe Say Something would probably be around that area as well for,
yes, yeah.
If I had to choose one I didn't love. But, yeah, and I have so many more that I absolutely adore, but I was, trying to keep it to a respectable number and, and not do a full charm bracelet, but I pretty much did.
Yeah.
Too many shits and too many hurts.
Yes.
Shits and hurts is what it's called now.
Yes. Too much twink fingering.
Too much twink fingering.
Yeah, the me wasn't Momo enough. Oh my goodness.
Well, thank you for coming on my remix journey.
That was fun. I mean, look, I owe it to you for all of those trips to the regular verse. And we've been teasing it for a while. So, happy to participate. At the end of the podcast, baby. Almost there, almost home. You could probably say, but you won't because of copyright. That's a no.
Well, we are almost home. We are all remixed out. I have just been putting this playlist on
Oh, really?
epic repeat because I'm just like, oh, yeah. Oh, and now this one. Oh, awesome. And then Honey comes around. It's like, oh, my God, I forgot how much I love this one.
This podcast has changed lives.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And while I was writing my uni essays, it was the perfect accompaniment.
Because I got to be hectic.
Yes. It's like, I got to get through this fucking thing. I've got to put all these references in.
Yeah.
So I needed a bit of special energy, and Mariah gives it to me. It's like there's like a thing you do in acting where you kind of have a sense memory of something and it makes you feel that way.
Oh, yeah. Literally, that's how I feel about the opening bars of Fantasy. When it comes on, I'm like, oh my God, I'm 5.
Yeah.
And I'm hearing music for the first time.
All of these songs for me are a sense memory of being very awake at a stupid o'clock in the morning.
Yes.
And just enjoying myself immensely.
By the time I was sort of out partying, you had stopped drinking. It's probably a good thing.
Yeah, that's probably for the best. Yeah, I could drive you home.
Exactly. And we could bitch about people we don't know.
Yeah, we don't know them. Why would we talk
I don't know why, exactly.
I don't know why, yeah. But I'm glad I could bring you joy, like the verses of Triumphant.
Yes.
And, the Mariah Carey singing the song that Fantasy is based on.
Yes.
Like, there's some joys here.
And the improv of Honey.
And also we got to hear some actual scatting instead of Soffa Soray.
Yeah, I know. He does and she does.
She-dogs don't know what they're missing out on.
Make it happen.
So have you got anything that you're making happen this week?
I do. So in between all of the album things that are just crazy, I did put out a remix of my song The Monster, which sort of got a little bit lost in everything because of the album going boom. And so that's out there. It's the Lost Child remix. And it's funny how, I mean, we're talking about remixes. The original is quite sort of almost rock opera, drama build. This has almost flipped everything on its head. And it sounds much sort of sparser sound, much more modern, which is why I love the remixes because, I'm very much 90s. So everything I do has that little bit of a flavour to it. And then I give it to someone else. What are you going to do with
is Celine Dion doing Jim Steinman, isn't it?
It's exactly. Yeah, that's my whole album.
If I touch you like this.
Yeah. And it goes for 7 minutes as well.
Yeah.
But no, it's so interesting because what's fun about it is getting to do what I do and then handing it off to someone else who maybe listens to Top 40 now, which I don't.
Yeah.
And going, what are you going to do with it? And getting surprised and going, I wrote this? Oh my God, I'm amazing.
Yeah, that's great.
Yeah, so that's really fun. What about you?
I am making nothing happen, but there's a special Christmas episode of Hard Quiz coming up, which is Mad as Hell does Hard Quiz. Mad as Hell was cancelled earlier this year, so this is the swiftest reunion special you've ever seen. So the cast of Mad as Hell will be answering questions on their special subjects.
That would be fun.
It's very silly. Mad as Hell does Hard Quiz is a lot of fun and very silly. And it's weird seeing... So normally it's 4 strangers that play the game.
Yes.
It was very interesting seeing 4 people from one workplace being competitive. All right. So next week here in the... I'm loath to say it out loud. That we loathe, J-loathe. We're going to go to another J-loathe experience. We're back in the regular verse next week.
It's Christmas in the regular verse. We need to see what's going on there at this time of year. Is it festive?
It's not.
Probably not.
It's probably not.
We will be checking out an album that actually turns 20 this year, which I'm surprised that it's held together that long.
A little Botox this album.
Yeah.
You know how it's held together this long? She wasn't involved in this one.
So
are we gonna get some rocks in this regular verse?
I think we are. Don't be fooled by them.
I'm not. I wouldn't be surprised to find out she had a big pair of rocks. Just dangling down there between her tracksuit pants.
He's going on it now. Oh my God, regular.
I'm problematic. You know that I'm problematic. All right. The regular verse. If you can be bothered, that's where we're going.
People love it. It's so funny.
Why?
I've had messages from people saying, I know this is a Mariah podcast, but please keep going to the regular verse. I'm like, we will happily.
And before we go, we have a review on iTunes, as it was once called, Apple Podcasts. It's from Lovely Brad.
Okay.
Is
this who will be watching Glitter?
He's saving up. He says hilarious and insightful as the headline. 5 stars.
That's me. What did I say about you?
Shut up. If you want to rearrange your guts laughing at
I do want to rearrange my guts. Thank you.
If you want to rearrange your guts laughing at a study of Mariah Carey's life and works that's highly illuminating, deeply compassionate, and enthusiastically puerile, you've come to the right place. Australian comedy legend Adam Richard, aka Fab, and recording artist and all-round master of melisma, Philip Lee Curtis, aka Posh, are both seasoned stage performers with a deep knowledge of music and showbiz.
Brad,
their entertaining and sometimes affecting chapter-by-chapter discussion of Carey's memoir is compelling stuff, and the ensuing episodes, which branch out in inspired directions, bring still more insight and hilarity. Curtis's evocative descriptions of Carey's music videos are a treasure in themselves.
Oh, Brad, I love you.
And he and Richard even provide a full-length commentary track for the cinematic landmark known as Glitter. As a wise man once said, do yourself a favour.
Stop
Brad.
That's
Thank
so
you,
lovely.
Brad. Lovely Brad.
That's going on the, we're getting quotes from that. That's gone on the poster.
He's a professional reviewer. Like, he reviews TV shows for The Green Guide, and has
Please
done for
review
the
my
last
album, 5 stars.
20 years. So, yeah, thank you very much, Brad Newsom. You are a legend. Thank you for, like, a very... you didn't have to be that nice. You could have said, like, we know how shit this podcast is.
Yeah, call it what it is.
Rearrange your guts. Oh my God.
Now I would like a review of the regular verse.
He does love the regular verse.
So, yeah, perfect.
If you want to leave a review on the Apple iTunes or on the Stitcher or anywhere, please do. We'd love another review. And, Posh will be devastated if you leave anything other than 5 stars, because we've only got 5-star ratings so far in the Australian iTunes store.
Yeah, America's not so sure about us. But we love you.
They're confused. Our accents take a lot of getting used
But it's also,
to.
it's the metric system. 1 is 5.
Yeah, it's the metric system. Yeah, that is exactly how it works. All right. We'll be back in the regular verse next week, which is not a Mariah Monday, sadly. It's a regular Monday.
Yeah. It's okay.
Bye, Emily.
Bye.